let me ask you about the pressure. There's an insane level of excitement and expectation for Grand Theft Auto 6. Same was true for GTA 5 and GTA 4, and even before that. And you and the team delivered every time. How difficult was it to do creative work under such pressure, where everyone expects this to be a success?
I was pretty good at compartmentalizing, and it just saying, and I try just to go, and when with all creative work, I go, well, I feel like a terrible fraud, but I haven't been found out yet. Just do my best, and hopefully I won't be found out this time. And just if I can go, I tried hard with the work. I tried to do it with integrity. I tried not to copy someone else. Probably done all of the above. Try to bring something new to it. And we as a group made something we are proud of. Then that's enough. You can't, if you don't want to go insane, or if I didn't want to go insane, I couldn't sit there and worry about financial results. If we made something great and it didn't sell, that would have to be okay. Because the goal is to make something that's, video games are expensive, so it is a sort of commercial form of creativity. It's a commercial art form, so you have to be in mind, you're spending large amounts of someone else's money. You have to try and make it back for them. But at the same time, my argument with myself was, well, the way to make it back is to try and make something great. So both pressures are pointing in the same direction. I think GTA 4 was very pressured because there'd been all this pressure on the company. The company nearly imploded several times due to hot coffee. It was extremely tough. So I think that felt very stressful. GTA 3, the company was basically broke, but I was young. I didn't really care. I wasn't living in the grown-up world yet. All of them had their own pressure. All of the games had their own pressure. All the more I felt I'd gone into it creatively and tried to be more ambitious. For me personally, I felt more pressure. When it came out that would have been the right choice. Because again, if you're trying to take big swings creatively and you've spent a lot of money, that can be quite stressful. I think with Red Dead 2, when we were behind schedule, we were over budget so much I didn't want to think about it. And you're making a game about a cowboy dying of TB, and the game's not coming together. Turns out a lot of people doubt you at that moment. It's not that fun. So I think that was a lot of pressure. But anything, if you're doing something new, the new stuff, there's not necessarily pressure on releasing a comic book or in the same way because it's not taken as long. But if you're making things, there's always pressure that people are going to like it.
Why do you think there was so much excitement about GTA 4, GTA 5, and now GTA 6?
Because they don't come out that regularly. And I think we did a really good job of constantly innovating within what the IP was. The games always felt different. People have very strong feelings. I like this one. I didn't like that one as much because they are pretty different. So there would be simultaneously where what's going to happen. It's a Grand Theft Auto, it's going to be a game about being a criminal, but the way it's going to be a game is going to change quite a lot. So I think the way the IP kept evolving meant people being really excited to play it. And we were good at marketing them as well. We really tried to market them in a way that felt like an update of classic film marketing, where you felt like you were already in the product just because you'd seen the trailers and stuff.
You've mentioned that you haven't written for Grand Theft Auto 6. What's it feel like Grand Theft Auto 6 returning to Vice City? This is over 20 years later, but the original GTA Vice City game was set in the 80s. So maybe inspired by Scarface a little bit?
Scarface, Miami Vice. And our 80s childhoods. What I realized quite a while ago, unfortunately, was that we made that game and it was set, I think, in 86, and we made it in 2002, so it's 16 years after. And now it's way past 16 years since Vice City came out. So it was, the 80s were not that long ago when we made it.
I think Miami is one of the most unique cities in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're thinking about it, satirizing American culture. It has this duality of a glossy surface and a dark underworld. It has the influencers, it has the crypto bros, the yachts, bikinis, plastic surgery, sports cars, drugs, cartel cash, luxury, super rich people, and the desperately poor, just the whole of it. Would it be like the perfect city to explore the full cast of characters that are possible, that human nature can generate?
I think it's one of them. There's a reason why GTA kept coming back to Miami, New York, Los Angeles. I think they're all very good for exactly what you laid out.
Mhm.
You could say move it to any of those and it would work.
So yeah, there's a melting pot aspect to New York
melting,
also, right?
melting pot aspect to LA. There's
Yeah.
glitz, glamour, underbelly, immigrants. Enormous wealth in all of them. I think those are what I think are really fun for any, not even just for GTA, but for anything where you want a kind of slice of life, almost like a sort of psychotic version of a Dickens book. This big slice of life. He did it with London. This
Yeah.
psychotic version
Yeah.
of these, big, all kinds of characters in a melting pot. Any of these global cities work well for that.
Do you know if that was ever consideration to go elsewhere to like a London?
We made a little thing in London 26 years ago, GTA London, for the top down for the PS1. That was pretty cute and fun as the first mission pack ever for PlayStation 1. I think for a full GTA game, we always decided it was there was so much Americana inherent in the IP, it would be really hard to make it work in London or anywhere else. You needed guns, you needed these larger than life characters. It just felt like the game was so much about America. Possibly from an outsider's perspective, but that was so much about what the thing was that it wouldn't really have worked in the same way elsewhere.
So you've created, I don't know how many, over 10 Grand Theft Auto
I
games.
think so.
I have to ask, is it a little bit bittersweet to say goodbye to the Grand Theft Auto world and having to watch Grand Theft Auto 6 released? Or is it more excitement? What's the feeling?
I think it's how would I describe it? Of course, it's all of the above. It's exactly as pleased to be doing other stuff, excited for what we're working on now, super excited. Of course, letting go of something I worked on it one way or another for like 20 odd years, and wrote on the last 10 or 11 that came out, wrote all of them, or, lead writer on all of them, whatever it was. So of course, letting go of that is is a big change and a lot and sad in a way, because it was each of the games was a kind of standalone story. It's not quite the same as I think probably it would be in some ways sadder if someone continued on Red Dead because it was a cohesive 2-game arc. That might be more sad to hear someone working on that. But again, that will probably happen too. I don't own the IP. That was the sort of part of the deal. It's a privilege to work on stuff, but you don't necessarily own it.
When you're done with the game, does it always feel like a goodbye? Like when you're done with Red Dead 2, is like you're saying goodbye to Arthur? Like the characters you created, you're walking away.
You kind of are saying goodbye to Arthur in the end of the game, even before the end of the game. Yeah, I think you've got, I've been with them for 7-8 years and you have to kind of let it go or you can't go on to the next one.
Yeah.
So there's always this thing of okay, that's done. And sometimes people would ask me questions about older games. And certainly when I was in the middle of making new ones I couldn't really necessarily even remember. I've got a pretty good memory normally because you kind of have to let it go. So it's you're so immersed in it and thinking about it, and certainly in that last period, the last few months, you're really, really immersed in every little nuance and every little detail all of the time, and then you're just not thinking about it in the same way.
Yeah, it's funny from the player perspective. It feels like an old friend that I miss, whether it's John or Arthur or Nico. It's a real goodbye. There's a real sadness to finishing a video game. Like,
I hope so.
Legitimately a sad experience, not just because the story is sad or
because you've been with them so long.
Yeah, and it's a real goodbye to close it. There's that feeling when you're sort of close the video game, and it's like saying goodbye to a friend. And
That's when you finish a book you love. It's the same feeling.
Same feeling.
And I think that was something that we really, in the early days of Rockstar, really aspired to have that, where people would have that. It wasn't just the mania of clearing a level, but the feeling of saying goodbye to characters. I think that was something we really wanted to achieve in games that we didn't know was even possible. So to hear people say that is incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, the end of On the Road by Kerouac, Forlorn Rags of Growing Old. I just remember closing that and thinking, what the fuck am I doing in this big world? It's a melancholic feeling, but there's nothing like that feeling. And you've achieved that. It's so rare in video games to be able to achieve that with Red Dead. And for me, it was Grand Theft Auto 4 with Nico.